Hi and welcome, you guys. I'm so honored and happy and grateful to introduce you to my friend Yvan. Yvan, welcome to the show. So great to see you.
Great to see you too.
Oh, it's so amazing. I've been so looking forward to our conversation right now because it's so important. When I see people out there, often sometimes they are half your age, right? And they come with, oh, I'm so old, oh, da 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 da. And there are so many, more than anything, mindset errors that make
Yeah.
people older than they actually are.
Yes, well, in fact, most people self-destroy themselves. They just have bad habits. They eat the wrong food. They smoke. They do drugs. They have all sorts of addiction that are self-destructive. So I just don't understand because the way I look and I live, I'm quite happy and I just give love and welcome. And most people are complaining about everything. The news, the TV is the worst thing to look at because it's only bad news. Um, so I keep living, and I'm quite happy with my life, and I just enjoy it every day.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And you are 88 right now. You were born in
Yes,
1935. I mean, you have seen a lot, right? You grew up like literally in a world war, we could say. And then you actually also went to war with the military. You've been through so much and yet keep getting younger every day. It's amazing.
that I'm not sure, but I'm not getting old every day. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, Yes, in the military, I was wounded. I had my arm that was growing, and finally could fix it. And since that time I don't take any medicine, and I just don't. I take a lot of supplements, a lot of
Natural organic
vitamins,
supplements.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. But it seems to work, so I keep going.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we have been knowing each other for many, many years now. And I remember, I mean, you told me many stories, and it's so amazing because you and me, we both, now you're still based in the south of France. And when we both lived there, we were the only ones in winter going for a swim, even though it was ice cold, and, going for long walks in nature and really doing all those high vibe things, right? High vibe food and lifestyle. And I would like to take our audience also on the journey because you also were at a point, right, in your life where, all right, the teeth started to, right, get a bit softer and started to move. And then you simply took different decisions than were proposed to you by, the mainstream narrative. I remember you told me like, oh, my teeth started to move and I stopped all dairy, right? So could you take us on the journey? Which decisions, what are you doing differently compared to mainstream? Let's say it like that.
Differently from the time where we was meeting.
Yeah, and the journey, because milk was, or dairy generally was one thing, right? So
I keep doing the same thing. I keep go swimming. I go running. I go running on the sound as we did. In fact, I remember you looked like you were running like a gazelle. So I find it very funny. But
yeah, we met
yeah,
on the beach running both, actually. It was so funny. Yeah. Like,
exactly. And I keep doing the same thing. I keep going. The water now is about 13 grades, which is to me it's quite okay because
thanks.
I also use the Windhof method. You know, the Iceman who can swim under the ice in apnea. And I do the same, except there's no ice here
Yeah.
in the in the sea. But having my body is just has the habit of doing that, going into the sea, whatever the temperature. And I adapt very easily to that. So when I go, the water on the beach now, there's nobody in the water. I'm the only one.
Because
And
I'm not
when I
there
get,
anymore. Otherwise, we would be both hanging out.
no, but when I go out, I've got a few friends or people I meet, and they ask me, "Well, how could you do that?" I say, but just keep going. At the end of the season, everybody stops. And I don't understand why, because if you continue, the body adapts to the temperature, and you don't feel it. I mean, I just don't feel it, and they can't understand that. And they keep destroying themselves and having bad habits, and they don't understand why they're dying, but. To me, it's so evident that they're just doing the wrong thing.
Yeah,
They
so
have
the
the
wrong thing, what would the wrong things be?
Oh, well,
Just a
if
little bit, and then we come to the right things more in detail also. Yeah. Because it
well,
clearly is obvious if we watch and it's like, oh, wow, people, you're really destroying yourselves. And that could be on a mental level, that could be on a habit level, this could be on a what do we consume level, like you said before, the media, and simply a certain mindset narrative that people buy into, like how do we define reality, right? And do we really have to age the way we think we have to age? I'm not so sure. And that's why you are living proof that basically we create our own life and our own values if we are strong to say, okay, I decide it's my life and I live based on those principles and I'm going to enjoy life.
Exactly. It's all about the attitude. It's if you focus on all the wrong things that are in the world, then you degrade yourself, you destroy yourself. But if you enjoy, every time I go out, I look at the beauty things, the beautiful flowers, or even beautiful people sometimes I meet, and I smile, and they're all surprised because nobody smiles here. They just go, yeah. And it's so funny. It's, when I go to La Croisette in Cannes, I walk and I see a lot of people, and all of them now, they all, like 100 years old. They have no look. They have in their eyes there's no light. There's just death, in fact. So, and I don't understand that, because life is so beautiful. It's, you know, you have no control over what is happening. I mean, if you have an earthquake or a volcano or whatever, there's nothing you can do. Well, you could avoid being at that place at that time, but what is important is the way you adapt to it. It's what you do with what is happening to you. If you consider all the bad things and the bad stuff, then your head gets spoiled by all that. But if you focus on hope and beauty and what is next is discovery, then you're happy and you live much better and longer.
Yeah. A happy life. And it's so important, especially, I mean, I know so many older people and elderly where they just watch TV all day long. And, I have a really important question that I actually keep now that I ask you now. Let's do it now. What I observed is, I mean, even it doesn't matter if it's, younger, if we're younger or older, so many people really have an issue being with themselves and being present because stuff just comes up, right? And the older we get, right? So when we're young, we have school and then maybe family, kids, work, all of this. And as we get older, I really find that many people, once retirement comes, some, they do their thing, they're connected with their inner core, right? They still blossom in that sense. Many truly don't know what to do anymore and then self-medicate with TV, consuming. Some actually jump back in the kids' role and all of a sudden, demand to their children to be here for them, when clearly it's not where they should be in the family constellation. And yet, the day can be long. I hear that so often, the day can be long. And then many people just start speaking about, oh, okay, it's time to go for me and leave my body and, make my transition, when basically they are just lost and don't know what to do. So which advice would you have for those people? Because truly, I think it's about finding themselves again and having the courage to deal with the shit that they didn't deal with all their life, right? How do you see that? Which advice do you have?
Well, it's very easy. Everybody is unique, and everybody has talents and gifts that they use or they don't use. And if they don't use, they die. If they use it, they revive. They change their attitude. And I like music, for instance, and I play the piano, the synthesizer. And every day when I play, I improve my playing, because I've got the practice, and every time I improve a little bit. And sometimes I still make mistakes, I make faults, but I keep going because I like it. And that's the problem. People don't do what they're really good at. They forgot that, or they never discovered that. But everybody has some talents, a unique gift. And it's a pity that they don't use it. And at retirement, that's exactly the time where you can do it. I read a lot. I've got like 5,000 books in my home because I can't throw away a book. It's for me. It's so much knowledge and intelligence, and so they have a place where you can, take books for free. And I go there and I take 2 books to give, and I give it. But when I come back, I've got 4 also that I took back. so it's but it's okay. I've got room enough in my house.
Yeah, that's so amazing. It's I like to say, seed of the soul, right? Like the plant, like the seed has everything within to grow into a plant. We too have that inner core and know who we are. And yet, through growing up and the whole thing, the indoctrination, the whole programming, we forget who we are. And I find that so amazing, though, because it's such a hero journey to find that core, that inner self again, and then, nourish it, water it, make sure it can grow well, and then really establish well. And when we look at you nowadays, you're like that amazingly, massively beautiful big tree that keeps on grounding, growing roots and stretching up. And, like that, you can, like that really and truly age is so amazing. And the elderlies, it's the wise people we are supposed to learn from, get wisdom from. It's life experience, and it's because you are well cultivated as a human being, human soul, and you always kept on growing.
Well, thank you. But I always say people are unique, but they don't know it. They don't recognize it. They don't like them. They don't even, most people detest, hate themselves. And that's why they don't live happily. If you have to learn your own capacity, and the body is incredible, has incredible possibilities, and most people just don't use them. They never, they've been trained to be, and as a kid, we're told most of the time, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. And we keep that in mind, and later on we say, I can't do that, I can't do that. But that's stupid, because within reason, of course, they have to try everything. They have to discover, keep discovering. There's so much to discover in life that, well, that's the way I feel. Most people don't feel like that, I know, but...
Yeah, and yet they can. And I think it's so important, when I speak with people, like even with people in the family who are older, not really old, but older, it's like, okay, it's just a limited belief, and then a few questions here and there can really make a big difference. Often then they think, oh, what do you want to say? You are so young and blah, 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 blah. You don't know how I feel. I'm like, yeah, I know how you feel, because it doesn't matter which age, we can always feel lost, whether we are 20 or 100, right? And I think the key is to truly get back within, right? Get help if it's needed, do different seminars, read, dive, really have nature as our guide in a sense, also much more trust in ourselves, right? What would you say? And then reprogram, like knowing that why we feel so bad, it's not us, but it's the program. And it's about stepping out of that box and then redefining how we truly want to live life, right?
Yes, absolutely. But if you keep going, looking at the TV, that's only bad news that you get. You see everything that goes wrong in the world, that you've got it constantly. You get it again and again and again. We're very, very exceptionally, you have one discovery and they say, that's interesting. But that's like a tiny, tiny minority. Most of the time, it's just bad news. So people are trained and retrained, and they don't do this, they can't do that, I can't do this, I'm too old, I'm too big, I'm too fat, I'm too whatever. But if they're fat, it's the result of what they've been eating or not moving. So, but it's amazing that people keep destroying themselves constantly, and they keep going and going and going. And I don't understand that. I don't see why.
Yvan, you've written a few books also on how we can live a holistic, happy life. If somebody's watching now, right, and says like, yeah, he's right, actually, what's still possible for me that I might not even have looked at before, right? Maybe, I don't know, some people even have that feeling with 50, some with 60, 70, 80, it doesn't matter, right? What would be your advice? Where can they start? And which steps can they take to a happy, a healthy, and a fulfilled life, even as they get older? Because basically, I mean, thinking back, also in our days in the south of France, and even now, you are exploring, you're learning new things, you're testing new things, and then saying, oh, I regrow, my gray hair is now black again, and you were doing experiments, and you just keep on enjoying life because you liberated yourself from that program. So for somebody who's still in that program, which advice do you have to go step by step?
Well, there are hundreds of books of self-development. Now, when I remember when I first went to California, there was in Europe, you had one book in the library about personal development. And then I went to California and they had hundreds and hundreds already of books of that nature with positive psychology, with any kind of way to grow and improve yourself. And now they're all over in Europe. In Europe, you find that if you go to a library, you've got hundreds and hundreds of books that talk about that. So what people should do is look at what they like doing. If they like, I don't know, swimming or reading or playing music or whatever they like, in that field only, there are hundreds of books already that explain, how to do better, how to improve, how to get into that domain and be a specialist. I read that if you focus on some subject for more than a month, you become a specialist in the world because nobody does.
Yeah. And then if you keep going, it will grow exponentially, right? Awesome. Yeah, so that's a great advice. And in terms of food, and because you also said like, okay, many people, overconsume, they don't eat the right foods, they, we maybe self-sabotage also, because in the TV, right, it's often proposed how should we cope with emotions or bad emotions. Usually in the films, we often see men go drink and the girls sit on the sofa and eat ice cream. And I mean, even though it might not be our conscious choice, the subconscious is influenced through all that programming. So, and I think the most important thing is to allow ourselves to be happy and recognize that it's how life is supposed to be. Yes, there will be up and downs, and it's about how we cope with them, how you said before.
Absolutely.
And yet, what would be your advices in terms of food and nutrition?
Okay. Well, you initiated me to sprouts, and I love sprouts. And but I consider food with one rule. It's very simple. If you eat more energy than you spend, you grow. That's what animals do in hibernation. They before the cold season, they eat and eat and eat, and then they get all sort of fat. And then during the hibernation time, they just use that food. So the same thing, we can do the same thing with fasting. I practice fasting regularly, like twice a year for 10 days without anything but water. And I feel great after that. People say, oh, it's very difficult. I can't do that. I can't do it. Well, of course they can. If they had no food, for some reason, they would survive for at least a month or even more for a majority of people. So the other thing I do is, so I keep that balance between what I spend, what kind of energy I spend with swimming and running and walking and doing whatever I do.
You
and
do
what
also like weight training, right? All sorts of things on your beautiful terrace.
On the terrace, I've got a little terrace, and I've got all the instruments, to weight lift and okay. But,
that's important too, right? To keep the bones strong, for example.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The other thing I do, respecting the rule and don't eat more than you spend. I also have another rule, which is I'm like a pregnant woman. If she wants to eat something, there's something good in that for her.
Yeah.
So, but of course, she mustn't do too much of it, because there's a limit. But the idea is that the variety in food is very important. So you have to try different things, and again within limits of energy control. That's what I think and what I do. I eat about everything, but very, like once a year I would eat some caviar or whatever, but only just for the fun of it, and just to make sure that my body gets all the food it needs.
Yeah. And you told me also sometimes, and to make sure with certain foods that my body can still handle toxins and process it and all good. I think the mindset is so important also, and to not be too dogmatic with things, because people stress a lot about food. I mean, for me, it's a certain standard, right? And I wouldn't eat certain things, and that's fine. And then for me, it's really in the flow, and I eat like a pregnant woman, right? What I feel, because we can train our body to give, and really look more at the signals of the body, and then eat the perfect food, right? And it's not like that for everybody. Some people stress, they are like, oh, which vitamins do I need? Where could I overdose? Or they focus on, oh, what am I not allowed to eat? And then there's so much stress in the game that basically creates more damage than good. So what's your advice here?
Well, it's just good sense. I mean, your body tells you what is right and wrong. If you listen, you will do the right thing. If you follow all the marketing tools that they use to make you eat whatever chocolate or cream or what, if you don't resist that, then you get sick because all that food that is manufactured, that product is bad, fundamentally rotten. I mean, it's just bad food. It makes you ill. But you can use of some of it. I mean, just within reason. If I want a certain minestrone, well, I have it, but I don't overdo it. I just keep within reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the
And
good and in the bad, right? So to not dive in too much into the whole industrial
yeah,
manipulated
yeah.
food, there I would really keep my fingers off. And yet
Oh,
every
yeah.
now and then, okay, if for whatever reason you feel called to it, okay. And then on the other side, not get too crazy about, and it's everything is full of toxins, I cannot eat anything, oh, I have to eat super healthy, because that stress around is not good either. So really, right, find the middle way and always observe your thoughts. What am I thinking? How am I feeling? And not stressing around, really.
Absolutely. But people get addictions, and they just lose the control of their life, and
Yeah.
they self-destroy. And the reason is that they don't like themselves. They don't love themselves enough. You have to learn to love yourself. You're unique, and you're a gift to the world. Don't consider you as a victim of all the rest. You live your life, and you do whatever you want, and your body tells you what is wrong and what is good. So follow your body.
Oh, that is so amazing. Follow your body and follow your heart, right? It's so simple. I mean, it just shows again how simple it can be. Amazing. And so, is there anything else that you would like to mention? I mean, there are so many, the two of us, anyways, we could geek out on any subject, right? Anything that you think is important sharing also when it comes to longevity, quality of life? I guess certainly also boosting the immune system. So, what are some of your practices or advices that you could share with the audience?
Well, I don't know what to tell you. Just experiment with yourself. You get the results. Every time you do something, you get a result. So if you do something that is bad for you, you will know it. And of course, you can, avoid the signal and don't listen to it, but it's there. Your body is telling you. That's so obvious with people who smoke, for instance. I used to smoke when I was a kid, when I was 15. I used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day,
Oh, wow.
which is completely crazy. But when I do something, I do it, to the limit.
Same, by the way. Yeah.
And then I met my wife, and we decided, well, that smoking is stupid. Plus, it costs a fortune. Let's stop. And we stopped. And that was 62 years ago. And I never smoked any cigarette since then. So it's a matter of will. If you have the will, you can do it. You can stop, doing drugs, doing overeating. You can stop. You have the power to do it. Just do it.
Wow, this is such an important message, because generally Rudolf Steiner said that already back in the years as well, that the willpower is taken from people through the whole programming and so forth, and yet we have it. So it's about coming back into ourselves and really making a decision, and then I think setting ourselves up also that, right, we throw out all the industrial food, like setting ourselves up for success, starting sprouting, or whatever it might be. To the sprouts now, I remember back in the days, that was many, many years ago, when you first tried the sprouts, right? And you were like, I think you texted me and you were like, are you sure it's just sprouts? I feel like, is there any doping, or I feel so high, right? So what are your experiences there?
Well, I still, but I told you I have a problem with the water, so I buy I buy them in a shop where they sell it, so it's all
We need to
prepared.
get you some good filtered water. That is so important, that the tap water is filtered and that you have the best seed quality, because back in the days you had better seeds and they worked, and nowadays even in organic shops or so forth, we never know how long they have been sitting on the shelf. So that's totally, we're gonna figure that out.
Yeah, but seeds normally last forever because they discover grains in the under the pyramid in Egypt, and they put them into the water with the right temperature, and it grow again after 3,000 years.
Oh yeah.
But
There are seeds that hold, really thousands of years. And then though, if we have lots of already cultivated varieties, they hold less long. Or for example, if it's too hot or too bright, that might have an impact on the seed quality. In the south of France, I would totally say also the water, and even if we take bottled water, it's full of chemicals nowadays also. So that needs to be evaluated. And it would be interesting to do a test there, like I did a test in the south of France back in the days with my filtered and revitalized water versus the normal tap water. And then I even had a more advanced revitalization. And really, the better the water, the better the sprouts. So that's very important. Yeah.
now there are parts of the south of France where they use ozone, which is O3, oxygen 3. And that's much better than chloride. Chloride is just bad, but oxygen is very good. So
yeah, for swimming pools it can be used
that's
also
not
as
what they do
caustic.
where I am. They use chloride.
Yeah. Okay, so that's to be checked, right? Awesome. Yvan, finally, is there, truly there's so much wisdom in your words, and it's just to the point, it's not overcomplicated. I'm gonna link everything about you, also your books, your website, under this website, so people can find you. It's in English. Do you have something in French also?
No.
Mainly English, no? Perfect, because
Well,
that's
yes,
language.
my biology, I'm writing my own life in French. That's it. That's the only thing in French. But I could translate it into German if you want.
Oh yeah, by the way, see, that's also a sign of openness and really learning new things, because I remember years back, right? I started my Vitality Club where we learned about sprouting and everything, and it was in German. And you were actually one of the founding members, I remember, and you did the course in German, and that was so amazing, right? That's also, I think, so amazing to think outside of the box, learn something new. I mean, you used to speak German also, but that was decades ago, and you simply, went in and learned German sprouting.
No, but the problem with languages, if you don't use them, you lose them. It's like muscle. If you don't use it, they degrade. Same thing with language. I could speak German fluently like 50 years ago, but then when I was in California, I never spoke one word of German, and so I lost it. And now I can read. I try to read German books, but it's difficult. I prefer English or French.
Got it. And still, you jumped into the whole Vitality Club year program back in the days, which was amazing. So yeah. And we, you were there in live events and all sorts of things. So that's cool. It's even if we don't fully understand everything, it's immersing ourselves into new situation, making new synapses, learning new things that keeps us young also and fresh. And we always had a great time, didn't we?
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Yvan, thank you so much for everything. And the last words to our audience before we end this video are yours. So is there anything that you'd like to share from the heart with all the people who are watching you right now?
Enjoy life. That's it.
That's
Just
it.
enjoy it.
Beautiful. Yvan, thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you so much for being here and sharing the essence of you. And it's so awesome to have you here. Thank you for smiling. Thank you for bringing so much light and love into the world, and keep on riding that wave. And I'm looking forward when we see each other again in the south of France.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Bye.
you guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope you took lots of inspiration, and yes, be happy. All the best. Bye.
Okay. Bye.